In today's lecture, we will study body composition, energy balance, and metabolism, with focus on how fat, fat-free mass, and energy use relate to body regulations. The body is made up of fat mass or adipose tissues and fat-free mass, which generally refers to all components of the body except fat. This generally includes muscle, bone, water, organs, and connective tissues, and excludes both essential as well as storage fat. While on the other hand, lean body mass is similar but includes a small amount of essential lipids that are naturally present in cell membrane, nervous tissues, and many internal organs. Both fat and fat-free mass generally make the total body weight. The term fat-free mass and the lean body mass are often used interchangeably, but this is not accurate. Adipose tissues is not pure fat, but contains 79% fats, 3% protein, and 18% water. Also, tissues other than the adipose tissues is not totally fat-free, as there is lipid in cell membrane as well as in the nervous tissues. Fat-free tissues generally contain 72% water and 20% protein. And individual tissues and organs vary in their protein, water, as well as the mineral content. Now we will see the changes in the body size and the composition that occurs through diet and exercise. If the energy intake of an individual is less than the energy output, then the energy stored in the body is reduced by the same amount through the loss of fats and the fat-free tissue or mixture of both lean and fat tissue. However, weight loss or resting energy expenditure also decreases. So for a given energy intake, the energy deficit and hence the rate of weight loss also decreases. Weight loss is significantly faster during the first week as compared to the next 2 weeks, because during the first week on a diet, glycogen and its associated water is lost, especially on a very low carbohydrate diet. Strenuous exercise causes muscle hypertrophy, and immobilization and relaxing results in the atrophy of muscles. Exercise also increases the energy expenditure. So combination of a low energy diet and exercise should achieve more fat loss and less loss of fat-free mass than the diet alone. During total starvation, weight loss is even rapid. Why? Because the energy deficit is greater, and partially because a higher proportion of weight loss is fat-free mass to provide amino acids for glucose synthesis. Now we will see what are the sources of energy and macronutrient balance. The balance equation for each macronutrient compares how much of that nutrient is consumed or intaken versus how much of it is used up or oxidized by the body. This is same for each macronutrient, and overall energy balance is equal to total energy intake minus total energy expenditure or oxidation, where energy intake is the calories obtained from the food that includes carbohydrates, lipids, fats, and alcohol, and energy expenditure is total oxidation of these macronutrients to meet body's energy demands that includes basal metabolism, thermogenesis, and physical activity. We will see later in this video what is basal metabolism. Generally, when energy intake is equal to the oxidation, then the energy balance is zero and the body weight remains the same or stable. When intake is greater than the oxidation, then it is called as a positive energy balance and excess stored as fats, or there is a gain in weight. If intake is less than the oxidation, then the energy balance is negative and body draws on the stored fuel. As a result, there is a weight loss. Macronutrient oxidation rates are interdependent. High carbohydrate intake suppresses fat oxidation, thus promotes fat storage. Similarly, low carbohydrate intake increases fat oxidation and sometimes protein oxidation. While protein oxidation is linked to nitrogen excretion, and if intake exceeds the oxidation, it indicates anabolic state or muscular growth. Thus, overall energy balance depends on sum of all the macronutrients balances. Now let's look at the example to understand the concept of energy balance. A person consumes 3 grams of carbohydrates, 100 grams of protein and 70 grams of fat daily. Their measured oxidation is 280 grams carbohydrates, 90 grams proteins and 70 grams fats. Then the carbohydrate balance will be plus 20 grams. That results in the glycogen storage increases. Protein balance is the 10 grams and results in the muscle synthesis. Fat balance is 0. That means stable adipose stores. And the total energy balance is equal to the positive or gradual weight gain. When you eat food, the body oxidizes or burns macronutrients, that is carbohydrate, fats and protein, and as a result there is a release in energy. Thus, that energy is measured usually in kilocalories or kilojoules, but not all the energy in the food is usable by the body. Some of it is also lost in feces or in form of undigested food as well as in urine, especially for proteins that produces urea. To standardize how much energy the human body actually gets, scientists used Atwater factor. If you eat 1 gram of carbohydrate, your body can extract about 4 kilocalories of usable energy from it, either through cellular oxidation, such as glycolysis, Krebs cycle, and oxidative phosphorylation. So when we calculate the energy intake, it will be energy from carbohydrates equals to the gram of carbohydrates that was intaken multiplied by the 4 kilocalories per gram of carbohydrate. For example, if a food contains 30 grams of carbohydrate, the total energy obtained will be the 120 kilocalories from carbohydrates. The traditional way of measuring the energy content of foodstuffs is to use a bomb calorimeter, where energy is produced when a sample of food is combusted in presence of oxygen. When food is heated, it is completely oxidized, and as a result, there will be a release of water, carbon dioxide, and oxides of other elements such as sulfur and nitrogen. The total heat liberated is expressed in form of kilocalories and the kilojoules, and it represents the gross energy value or the heat of combustion of food. Now, the gross energy value is the total amount of energy released when a substance such as food or fuel is completely oxidized or burned. The heat of combustion differs between carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. However, there is a less energy available to the body than the gross energy of the food consumed. But why? Firstly, none of the foodstuff is completely absorbed. Although on average more than 90% of the carbohydrates, fats and protein is absorbed, but some of it is not and therefore some energy is excreted in feces. And the second reason is the tissues are able to oxidize carbohydrates and fats completely to carbon dioxide and water. The oxidation of protein is not complete. And as a result, there is a formation of urea and other nitrogenous compounds which are excreted in urine. This energy represents as metabolic loss and must be subtracted from the digestible energy of proteins. From these considerations, Atwater factors of macronutrients have been derived. Energy expenditure is made up of three components, which is basal metabolism, physical activity, and thermogenesis. Now let's discuss these energy components. The largest component of energy expenditure for most individuals is basal metabolic rate or BMR. Typically in developed countries, BMR accounts for 60 to 75% of daily energy expenditure and reflects the energy needed for the work of vital functions such as maintaining electrolyte equilibrium across cell membrane, cells and protein turnover, and many other functions. So far, the most important determinant of BMR is body size and in particular the fat-free mass, which is influenced by height, weight, gender, and age. Based on these factors, men have generally greater fat-free mass and total BMR than women of same age, weight, and height, and older people have lower fat-free mass and total BMR than young adults. Some of the differences in BMR between these groups disappear when BMR is expressed per unit of fat-free mass, which includes tissues, organs that have high metabolic activity such as liver, kidney, and heart. In contrast, the contribution of adipose tissues to BMR is small, and BMR is also greater than the metabolic rate during sleep by 5 to 20%. So BMR is the rate of energy expenditure which is measured under standard resting conditions. And now we know what are these standard resting conditions, such as complete physical rest in thermoneutral environment or comfortable temperature after an overnight fast of 10 to 12 hours, and when with the person awake, lying still and relaxed. Now let's talk about how our body spends energy during physical activity. The amount of energy we use depends on type, intensity, and duration of activity, as well as body size and how efficiently we generally move or walk. To make comparison easier, scientists express the energy cost of activity as multiples of basal metabolic rate or BMR. For example, light activities like sitting or reading are about 10 to 1 to 2 times BMR. Moderate activities like walking or cycling are 3 to 5 times BMR. And intense exercises like sprinting can go up to 10 to 14 times BMR. For most people, physical activity makes up to 10 to 15% of their total daily energy use. However, in athletes or workers that work very hard, it can rise up to 70% or even more. Now let's discuss what is thermogenesis. How our body generates heat as part of metabolism. Every time our cells break down food or energy, part of that energy is released as heat. This process generally helps keep our body temperature stable and plays a major role in regulating overall energy expenditure. Main sources of thermogenesis is basal metabolic rate, physical activity, and diet-induced heat production. There are five main kinds of thermogenesis. Some happen automatically, like when we are cold and stressed, and other occurs through our behavior. These are psychological thermogenesis is when you are anxious, excited, the hormone adrenaline speeds up the metabolism, making your body produce more heat. Cold-induced thermogenesis occurs in cold conditions. Shivering muscles and brown adipose tissues burn energy to generate heat and maintain the body temperature. The diet-induced thermogenesis. Certain substances like caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol stimulate the nervous system, which increases metabolic rate and heat output. Non-exercise activity thermogenesis or NEAT is occur when small everyday movements like fidgeting, standing, or changing posture can use energy and contribute to total heat production.